Hey everyone. Okay, it's the end of my night, and I just wanted to record a quick video because I've been asked over and over and over and over and over in the past 2 weeks, basically since Halloween, about Thanksgiving. And I get it, and I know that it's really, really hard right now. And it's really hard to know what to do in terms of Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is a very traditional holiday where people gather and they spend time together and connect, and all of those things are so important. Connection is just so important, especially at moments like this when there's so much chaos in the world and so much unknown and uncertainty, and you want to get together with the people that you love. And unfortunately, we are in the midst of a pandemic where connecting with those people, talking with them, sharing a meal with them is a risky endeavor. And so we have two competing priorities. One is family tradition. One is connectedness. One is seeing people that you don't get to see on a regular basis and celebrating and preparing, and participating in the holiday season and everything that goes along with that. And that's really important to people. And then on the other hand, it's like there's all the talk about the virus and the stress of getting together or not getting together. Both are stress inducing, both are difficult to handle. There's, if you say, okay, we're going to get together, then there's all the worry and fear and anxiety around, well, what if somebody's sick? What if somebody's not sick but is asymptomatic and spreads it to everybody? What if grandma gets it? What if grandpa gets it? What if kids get it? What if we're quarantined for 2 weeks and kids have to be out of school because of an exposure over pumpkin pie? There's so many competing priorities, and it's really hard to figure out what you should do for your family for the holidays, for Thanksgiving, for Christmas, for everything that's going on right now. And I feel like I'm going to be making these videos for every holiday. Hopefully, I won't make one for the 4th of July 2021, and we'll have a better handle on things and be on the mend by then. I really hope I don't make one for Thanksgiving 2021, other than to say, if you're sick, don't come. Otherwise, go enjoy once you get your COVID vaccine. That might be optimistic, but that's my hope and prayer. So, how to balance those things, how to decide what to do. First and foremost, I think the default should be we're not going to get together with extended family for Thanksgiving. And I'm just going to come out and say that I think you need to have a compelling argument in favor of getting together to do it because of the way that our country is right now. If things had gone differently in the spring, if we had done a better job of mitigating and stopping the spread, then that would be one story. But unfortunately, we're just not there right now. And so that's why I think the default needs to be we're going to plan on not getting together. I think what you can do is kind of, I have this little circle diagram that's pretty fancy. I had to put this behind it because this is actually like a tax sort of document, and I didn't want it to be see-through. But it's a circle document. In the middle, and what I would start with, whoops, there it goes, is thinking about ourselves and our family. Thinking about your own personal risk. And there's going to be 3 different layers of risk, layers of the onion that I want to peel back and have you think about. And the most important inner one, the one that we think the most about, is ourselves, because we're human and humans think about themselves. And our own personal risk. Do we have people in our family that are high risk? Do we have immune deficiency, diabetes, asthma, COPD, things like that in our immediate family? Is this going to significantly impair our ability to work? Is it going to add to a tremendous stress load between Thanksgiving and Christmas if our kids are stuck at home quarantined for 2 weeks? Sometimes, if one member of the family were to get it and the others weren't, we're talking 24 days before those that didn't get it can return to school, which is basically between Thanksgiving and Christmas, missing all of that school. There's personal risks that go beyond just getting the virus. It's all of those other things that go along with it. So does the risk to me and my family outweigh the benefit of seeing relatives connecting in that way? That's the first, most inner layer of the onion. I'm going to work from the inner outwards, which you would never do with the onion anyways, but the next layer would be to our loved ones. Oops, I got to put this down here. And the people that we're around. And sometimes we have to make hard decisions because our loved ones won't or don't think they need to. And it might come down to us saying, hey, I know that you want to get together, but I also know that you have diabetes, hypertension, and high blood pressure, and that puts you at higher risk. And as much as I want to get together, and I hear you saying that you feel comfortable getting together, I couldn't live with myself if something were to happen because we got together and if I was involved or if it was my fault, because I know that I could asymptomatically have it and accidentally spread it to you, and I couldn't live with myself if something bad happened because your risk is so high. And I think the things that you can tell them are, because we love you, we can't put you at risk. Because we love you, we can't get together. And because we know that you might not understand that, we are doing this out of love for you, and we hope that you can just respect and understand that. And hopefully over time you will understand where we're coming from, and that we are doing this out of a place of love. We of course want to get together, we want to connect and spend time with you. We can figure out some ways to accomplish that, but we're not going to get together in person because I'm worried about you and your underlying health conditions that put you at risk. The other thing you could say is, because we love you and we want to have 10 more Thanksgivings with you, we're going to skip this one. Because we love you and we want to spend Christmas with you, we're going to skip Thanksgiving, so that we're not putting you, not putting us, not putting our community at risk, because we don't want to miss 2 holidays and we really want to be together for Christmas. I think those are really reasonable arguments, especially if you start with because we love you. It's not coming from a place of guilt. It's not coming from a place of shame or how could you not understand this? You should be smarter than that sort of thing. That doesn't, bridge this issue between family members, which are often at odds. And it's so unfortunate that we're in a place in this country where things are so divided and there's so much judgment and guilt and shame and divisiveness about this issue. It's really hard. And so because we love you, we can't put you at risk. We know you might not understand, but we love you and we want to keep you safe. We want to spend the next 10 Christmases with you. We want to have you around for the next 10 Thanksgivings. And we know that you have some health issues or you're over a certain age, and we really want you to be safe. So that's the risk to loved ones. And I think that's the hardest one for people to do, because they don't want to offend. They don't want to hurt people's feelings. They don't want to make them feel unloved. But I think if you lead with that, knowing that they might not understand at this moment, but knowing that they might see the consequences in the coming weeks, then I think you can and should be able to live with that and not put your own personal physical or mental health well-being at risk by saying, I really don't want to get together, but we're going to get together because they really want to, and I'm going to hate it and overanalyze every single moment that we're together, and who's breathing on whom, and who just sniffled, and all those things like that just adds a lot of stress. And so, again, I think that's a good reason to have the default be, we're not going to get together. And then the third outer layer of the onion is community, and what's going on in our community. Here in Nebraska, in the U.S., things are at a bad place right now. The case counts are rising, and we know that even though it's not Thanksgiving yet, it's going to take a long time to come back down, because as it rises, we're getting new cases all the time, and those cases aren't just going to dry up. Those are going to be active and spreading for the next several weeks. So it takes several weeks to come back down after we have these super high case counts. It's not something that's just going to turn off. The hospitals are going to empty out. It takes time for, if somebody gets infected today, they're not going to end up in the hospital for probably 2 weeks from now. They're not going to die, if they are going to go in the hospital or die, for 3 to 4 weeks from now. So we're already past Thanksgiving when people that are getting infected right now in early November are ending up in the hospital and dying from COVID. So we know that there's a long lag, and there's a lot of people that, the vast majority of people don't end up in the hospital. The vast majority of people don't die. And so we know those people are going to continue to spread it for a long time. It's going to take serious mitigation efforts to decrease that. Here's Nebraska, and our case count just continues to rise and rise and rise. And what we know is it's going to take a long time. It's not just going to turn off and everything's going to open back up and be great. It takes a long time for all of that to wash out of the population. There's going to be a lot of hospitalizations and a lot of deaths before we're over the hump. And so that's what's going on in the community. And we know it's not from football games, and it's not from all these big super spreader events. Why don't we just not do those big super spreader events? A lot of the current cases that are fueling this are coming from small family gatherings. The majority of the people now that I'm seeing in the office that are positive or hearing about from parents, it's not because they were at a big party or something like that. They got together with a couple of friends. They got together with their own family members. They were together. The next day, one of them had a fever. They tested, and now they're quarantined for 2 weeks. They're positive, and they're out of school and isolating. That's how the spread is going right now, and that's what's driving the cases, is these small family gatherings. And the thing that puts it at risk is those meals and taking your mask off and sitting around a table where there's 5, 10, 15, 20 people in close proximity. And I know that even if you're sitting at the table and you take your mask off so that you can eat, like, you're not going to get up from the table and put your mask on and then go into the other room and see Uncle so-and-so. Like, there's just not going to be that good masking when you're not at the table. And we know that cases spread at the table. We've had most of the cases that have spread in the school system haven't been in classrooms, but they've been over lunch when people are unmasked. And so having Thanksgiving dinner is just a high risk activity. And so that's what makes it really difficult too at this moment. Like I said, I think the default should be, we're not going to get together for Thanksgiving because we love you. And I want to know what your thoughts are. So if you could comment below, take a moment and comment yes if you think that this is on the right track. Comment what you're planning to do or the conversation that you're planning to have or have had with your loved ones, because I think it's really important that other people see, okay, we're not the only ones that don't feel comfortable getting together. We know a lot of people that aren't feeling comfortable getting together, and we're not going to get together, and hope that others do the same, in anticipation that lots of people are still going to get together and not follow this advice. So we need to do our part, even though those other people aren't doing their part, which again is really hard to do. What can you do instead? It's really hard right now. Many are looking forward to this, and I think things that you can do instead: do a Zoom, do a FaceTime, do some sort of get together, play a game over Zoom or something like that. I mean, I know it sounds cheesy, but you know what you could do is, hey, I'm making pumpkin pie. Why don't we make pumpkin pie at 3 o'clock, and we'll put our FaceTimes on, and we'll just make pumpkin pie and chat as we cook. You could do another idea: if you live in the same community as your loved ones, but you don't want to get together with them because, like it is here, it's super high. You could say, hey, we're not going to get together to eat because we know that that's a high risk activity, sitting in for a meal, but we can get together and go for a little family walk. It's not too cold out, or it's cold out, but we can wear hats and gloves and mittens and go for an outside walk where we wear a mask and distance and all those sorts of things. We can still see each other. We can still visit without sitting down for a meal. You could even, and this is an idea that I like that I just came up with now in my head, have people bring their food over and take to-go boxes. You get to see each other. You get to connect and see each other for a brief period of time, wearing masks. Everybody takes their own food home. Then you turn the FaceTime on. Then you turn the Zoom on, and you have a Thanksgiving dinner separate, but you're together, you're sharing a meal. Wow, that cranberry sauce is really good. That pumpkin pie was out of this world, blah, blah, blah. Those are ways that you can still connect. If you do say, we have to get together with so-and-so because it's too important for us to give up, I would keep it small. I would keep it short and intimate, and really think through, how are we going to do this safely, knowing that we can't completely rule out the disease. Now, people have also asked me about testing. Is it possible to test and then turkey? And I really don't think that that's plausible or feasible for most families. If you test on Monday or Tuesday, that's a point in time. It's like testing for pregnancy. If you test too early, you might not pick it up, but you might be in the process of building up to the point where then you would test positive. So if you test on Monday or Tuesday before Thanksgiving and then say, well, I was negative, we can get together, well, you could still be asymptomatically or pre-infectiously building up where the test didn't pick it up, but then by Thursday or Friday, you have symptoms. Unless you're going to test, I think the way you'd have to do it would be very cumbersome for most families and not feasible and not plausible, where you like going into the MLB bubble or something like that. Test, completely quarantine, completely separate yourself from the outside world, and then you're probably going to want to test again, or at least test and then wait 2 full weeks asymptomatic before you go to Thanksgiving. And that's just not possible. It's just not possible for that many people if you have all these relatives that are from around the country and have different jobs or different things, for them to all do that in a realistic manner. So I just don't find that that's a very successful thing. So if you do say, I need to get together with some people for Thanksgiving, it's that important, make it small, make it intimate, make it a connection where maybe you're not spending a lot of time eating in front of each other, where we're exposing each other at that moment. There are ways to do it. I've talked with a lot of families that have already decided and told their loved ones, hey, we're not going to get together for Thanksgiving. It sucks, I know, but it's important to us, and that's what we're going to do. And they've told me that they're looking forward to the small. They're looking forward to just their own family, not the extended families, not the get-togethers, not to all the politics and everything that goes along with it, especially this year. That they're just looking forward to that time. And hopefully by Christmas, my prayer is that by Christmas, things are at a better place where we can have that conversation about being together in a different way than we are right now. But it's going to take a lot of work. It's going to take a lot of time and sacrifice. And unfortunately, no matter what I do, I can't control what everybody does. Not that I should be able to, but there's just not a lot of self-sacrifice for the good of the community that we're seeing by and large. A lot of the people that I know are doing everything they can, but when there's others in the community that are not, it feels like a wasted effort, and it feels like, why am I giving up my Thanksgiving when all these other people aren't doing their part? Well, we all have to do our part, even when it hurts and it doesn't feel like it's being reciprocated or respected or honored. And so I'm sorry that that's where we're at as a city, state, country right now, and I'm hopeful that we can move forward. And I'm really afraid of what it's going to take for people to wake up to the seriousness of this. But I would ask you to default as not getting together, and then make a really strong argument if you feel like you have to get together for some specific reason. Otherwise, now's your time to figure out how we can connect over Thanksgiving, how we can enjoy the weekend, enjoy the time as a family, and connect with those that we love, because there are other ways to do that that don't involve the risk that goes along with sitting down for a meal, spending hours together inside in the midst of cold and flu season, in the midst of COVID pandemic. If this has been helpful, comment yes below. If this has been helpful, share. And if you have other thoughts or concerns or questions, text me. 402-256-0768. It's right down there. Right down there. There. Keep up the good work.